returning viewers. This program is aimed at bringing to the doorstep of viewers the business, financial and economic activities from all strata of society. Its delivery is accentuated through the various stock exchanges across the world, news about government economic activities, private sector business activities, lists with expert opinions, stakeholders analysis and correspondence reports. Headlines. Why Port Harcourt Refinery is not producing NNPCL. Cameroon eases water from Lagos Dam, federal government. CBN maintains 5% ways and means. Court orders 1.49 billion euro fine scrapped. By the end of the show, you can be rest assured of being informed accurately of financial activities around the world. I am your host, Wendy Aguma. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll reel out the details. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Now let's go into market reports, local and international business news for today. Executive Vice President, Downstream Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Adedapo Segun, says the Port Harcourt refinery is on course to produce petrol. He said based on the projections for the refinery to deliver the product to the market, it would be unfair to say the NNPCL has not delivered, especially when it is considered that it is a brownfield refinery. Segun said the Port Harcourt refinery is a brownfield refinery that achieved mechanical completion last December and by August and also fired off the burners, meaning the distillation process has started. Adding that the Port Harcourt refinery has started the distillation process but yet to produce product to tank specification at the moment. He also said the process at times is interrupted by other unforeseen developments which invariably interferes with the advancements and levels already attained and leading to a halt or restart of the process, adding that it has taken Dangote Refinery from its mechanical completion in May last year about 16 months to begin production of petrol in September this year. And as such, Port Harcourt Refinery is not yet producing petrol 9 months after its mechanical completion should not be seen as failure. Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited has released another version of the breakdown of the estimated price of petrol bought from the Dangote refinery. A statement said the NNPC gave a chart breakdown of the refined petrol products it bought from the refinery, and the nation's oil firm stated that it has paid the Dangote refinery in United States dollars for the September 2024 petrol offtake, adding that Naira transactions will only commence on October 1st, 2024. While the data of the estimated price to be sold around the country remains the same, while the analysis of the transaction had that Dangote refinery altered, and the first statement had an inspection fee of 0.97 kobo, with a margin fee of 2 naira 48 kobo and the distribution fee of 15 naira. In the second statement, there were no specifications and margin fees, while the distribution fee was changed to 42 naira 45 kobo. The second statement also had an additional midstream and gas infrastructure fund fee of 4 naira 495 kobo. Petroleum marketers in Nigeria say they are standing in limbo over the controversy surrounding Dangote refinery premium motor spirit pricing as released by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on Monday. According to Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority latest data, this comes as the petroleum marketers demanded that Dangote refinery should disclose the price it sold petrol to NNPCL for transparency, and the country cannot depend on domestic production to satisfy its daily consumption, which stood at 50 million naira. The president of the Petroleum Product Retailers Outlets Owners Association, Billy Gillis Harry, and the president of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Abubakar Maigandi, who made the demand in a separate interview, said the new petrol prices show that petrol will be sold at 950 naira 22 kobo per litre in Lagos. Oyo and other southwest states will pay 960 naira per litre for petrol, while the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Kanu, Kaduna petrol price will stand at 999 naira 22 kobo per litre. Also in Imo and River States, the price of petrol will be 980 naira 2 kobo, while Borno State will pay 1,019 naira 22 kobo. And the pump price of petrol at independent marketers filling station usually surpasses that of NNPCL retail outlets by over 100 naira, which may bring the price of fuel to around 1,200 naira per litre. Latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics show that Nigeria's headline inflation rate decreased to 32.15% in August 2024, despite the recent hikes in the pump prices of petrol nationwide. This figure represents a 1.25% point decrease from the 33.4% recorded in July 2024, and the second consecutive month slowdown in inflation after a persistent rise in nearly 2 years. While the MBS in its Consumer Price Index report posted on its website on Monday said the drop also signals a slower pace in the increase of the average price level compared to the previous month. Inflation indicators measured the price changes of goods and services over 12 months, and a decline in these indicators does not necessarily mean prices are dropping, but rather that the rate of price increase has slowed compared to previous months. While Nigerians had expected a hike in inflation rates given the recent increase in petrol price, a key pricing component for logistics that affects most commodity in the country. This is coming after on Monday the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited announced that it would sell the petrol lifted from the Dangote refinery at a price above 1,000 naira per litre in the far north, adding that food, housing and clothing remain the major contributors, followed by transport, furniture and education. Data comparing a month-on-month basis show that the inflation rate in August 2024 stood at 2.22%, slightly lower than July's rate of 2.28%, signaling a slower pace in the increase of the average price level compared to the previous month. Nigeria Employers Consultative Association has commended the agreement between the federal government and Dangote refineries on the sale of premium motor spirit to Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, and also highlighted the potential to end petrol scarcity and reduce pressure on foreign exchange demand in the country. According to a statement from the association, the Director General of NECA, Adewale Smart Oyurinde, hailed the landmark pricing agreement that led to the lifting of petrol from the Dangote refinery, adding that the singular event has potential to change the perennial fuel scarcity situation in the country and also reduce the pressure on the naira. The NECA DJ said the current pump price was way above the expected price due to the dollar-dominated crude oil purchase, and was also expected that the beginning of the crude for naira scheme agreed on October 1st would cause a reduction in pump price. He said the measure would moderate the cost of fuels, reduce the long queues at filling stations across the country, and support the energy needs of small businesses, and also commend the government's intention to set up a one-stop shop and would harmonize the interests of all stakeholders, including regulatory and security agencies, to ensure a seamless implementation of the initiative. He said such a one-stop shop would not only enhance the swiftness of approval for the lifting of refined products, but also be co-effective and also identify similar challenge in the local gas market, where the price of gas sold to domestic industries was benchmarked in the US dollars, adding that industries, particularly the manufacturing sector, had suffered significant production setbacks due to limited foreign exchange and instability in the naira, which had made it difficult to purchase adequate gas for production. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana-San says it is illegal for the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to determine the price of premium motor spirit, as known as petrol, for the Dangote refinery after deregulation. Falana, who said this in a statement on Tuesday, said the action of the NNPCL contravenes Section 205 of the Petroleum Industry Act, while on September 5, 2024, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited stated that foreign exchange illiquidity had been a significant factor influencing the fluctuation of prices of premium motor spirit governed by unrestrained market forces as provided for in the Petroleum Industry Act. Colonel's outburst followed the commencement of PMS lifting by the NNPCL from the Dangote refinery, adding that as soon as lifting commenced, the NNPCL announced that the product will sell for 950 naira per litre in Lagos State and its environs and above 1,000 naira per litre in states such as Bauchi, a Borno state. Reacting to the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, criticizing NPCL, saying it was not right for petrol lifters from the Dangote refinery to cost higher than imported ones. In view of the reactions trailing the Dangote refinery and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited's fuel price deal, the House of Representatives Minority Caucus had described the 980 naira per litre of pump price as outrageous and exploitative. Chairman of the caucus, Kingsley Chinda, said the development was a burden added to the already struggling Nigerians. A statement he signed in Abuja, the lawmaker expressed his outrage over the pump price that varies from 950 naira to 980 naira and above 1,000 naira per litre, depending on the parts of the country, and emphasized that locally refined fuel should be priced significantly lower than imported fuel that avoids costs such as landing charges and import duties, insisting that the pricing model was wrong for all intents and purposes. The statement warned that allowing the current pricing arrangement to continue would only deepen the economic hardship of millions and erode trust in local refineries' ability to deliver affordable fuel, and called on regulatory bodies and the government to urgently review the pricing framework to ensure Nigerians are not subjected to unsustainable fuel prices. The caucus affirmed its commitment to protecting the welfare of Nigerian people and pledged to engage relevant stakeholders to ensure fair and just fuel pricing. Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has sealed filling stations and fined not fewer than 3 marketers for allegedly receiving stolen fuels. The development followed operations conducted by the personnel of the Nigerian Customs Service in August 2024, adding that 7 suspects were prosecuted after an investigation into the matter. The service also said it generated a total of 293.3 billion naira from import and excise duties in August 2024, while a breakdown of the figures showed that 277.5 billion naira was collected from import duties, while excise duties amounted for 17.8 billion naira. The revenues, according to the report, reflected the NCS's ongoing efforts to boost government's income through the effective monitoring and enforcement of customs regulations, while in August 2024, the Nigeria Customs Service achieved significant milestones across key areas, including revenue generation, enforcement activities, trade facilitation, and strategic stakeholders' engagement. Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise has called on the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to reverse its recent premium motor spirit price adjustment. The director of CPPE, Muda Yusuf, who disclosed this, said after the NNPCL announced a fresh price increase, setting petrol prices between 950 naira and 1,019 naira 22 kobo per litre for Dangote refinery products across its retail outlets. Yusuf urged the NNPCL to reverse the price hike, stating that further increases in petrol prices would exacerbate the rise in the cost of goods and services in Nigeria. He said NNPCL's decision to announce a price hike does not demonstrate sensitivity to the prevailing socio-economic conditions in Nigeria, and also called for a stronger relationship between Dangote Refinery and NNPCL in the interest of all Nigerians and the country's economy. He also said while Nigeria's inflation declined to 32.15% for the second consecutive time in August 2024, the prices of goods remained high. Analysts has blamed the federal government's inability to maintain and sustain the nation's existing petroleum refineries for the benefit of Nigeria's economy and its citizens. Speaking on the Atlantic Television Network program Open Conversation, a socio-political analyst, George Chinda, faulted the federal government following the current petroleum price saga between the NNPC and Dangote refinery.
An issue to the point where NNPC will be paying in dollars to Dangote. I don't really understand. This is part of the problem that the Naira is equally having. It's really shocking. In fact, I put this whole blame squarely on the president. I put the blame squarely on the president, you know, for the whole thing that Nigerians are suffering. Look at what we are hearing here. NNP is selling at this rate. Why the other fleet stations that are not NNPs, they are selling for 1,300, 1,250, 1,400. And Nigerians are suffering. So the senator, former senator, is right in what he said. I really do not have much to say about this because the thing is quite shocking to me.
You see?
Quite painful. It's affecting everything in Nigeria. Even with the coming up of Dangote.
Chinda affirmed the claims that Dangote Refinery and Nigeria National
The senator, former senator, is right in what he said. I really do not have much to say about this because the thing is quite shocking to me.
You see?
Quite painful. It's affecting everything in Nigeria. Even with the coming up of Dangote.
This is coming amidst the war of words on the pricing template for petrol, while former lawmaker Senator Shehu Sani said Dangote's refinery and the NNPC are operating on the same pedestal of interest despite the current economic challenges facing the country. Presidency has declared the take-up of the $550 million upstream gas project between the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited and Total Energies on the development of the Ubeta field. The special advisor to the President on Energy, Olu Vehejen, who disclosed these at an inaugural U.S.-Nigeria Strategic Energy Dialogue hosted by the U.S. State Department in Washington, D.C., said the upstream gas project would deliver 350 million standard cubic feet of gas per day when operational. A statement on the event signed by the Stakeholders Manager, Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Morenike Adewumi, in Abuja, said the gathering that major energy reforms introduced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu since June 2023 focused on improving energy security, attracting investment, and deepening collaboration with key partners, including the U.S. government. She also said the key reforms had improved the viability of the gas-to-power value chain of the country, including initiatives to improve cash flows and electricity distribution through smart metering and the payment of outstanding debts owed investors, and to reduce carbon emissions from gas production. She also stressed on the support for the reform, while the President issued 5 new executive orders aimed at providing fiscal incentives for investment and reducing the cost and time of finalizing and implementing contracts to develop and expand gas infrastructure, while the directives also aimed to immediately unlock up to $2.5 billion in new oil and gas investments in the country. Federal government, through the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, had shut down an illegal factory producing counterfeit cosmetic products at the Trade Fair Complex in Lagos State. Revealing these in a post on its X handle, the NAFDAC said the factory was shut down after its personnel stormed the location and discovered various unregistered chemicals and packaging materials along with expired products that were being revalidated for sale. NAFDAC said over 1,200 cartons of fake cosmetic products were seized, while items including mini mixing container, unlabeled chemicals, mixing containers, unlabeled chemicals, batch coding materials, and thinners were confiscated and moved to the NAFDAC office for further investigation. NAFDAC urges the public to be cautious when purchasing cosmetic products and report any suspicious activities to the nearest NAFDAC office. Cancer survivors in Nigeria have called on the federal government to intensify efforts in combating the surge in fake drugs, which they said have become a major threat to their lives. The survivors, under the auspices of the network of people impacted by cancer in Nigeria, lamented the high cost of cancer drugs and the menace of counterfeiting, worsening the inadequate access to quality treatment and care. The NIPISIN President Gloria Oji, while speaking with journalists in Lagos, urged the government to do everything possible to alleviate the burden of cancer patients, including the high cost of drugs and counterfeit drugs, adding that the dangers posed by counterfeit drugs for cancer patients include worsening their condition as well as draining their purses. Oji also shared her personal experience of unknowingly taking counterfeit hormonal drugs post-diagnosis in 2013, which resulted in complications, adding that not many people were lucky to survive such an experience. He stressed the need for direct sourcing of drugs from manufacturers by government agencies, such as the National Health Insurance Authority, to curb counterfeiting, and suggested that the government could license the NHIA to oversee the development. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka Anite, has expressed serious concern over the rising exploitation of African consumers through misleading product advertisements, counterfeit products, substandard services, and safety hazards associated with overpriced offerings. She said the trend has persisted even though the continent is the fastest growing consumer market globally. The minister stated this at the 11th African Day of Standardization organized by the Standards Organization of Nigeria in Abuja, with the event theme empowering consumers through standardization to achieve their rights to safe quality goods and services. Is to create awareness about the rights of consumers in Nigeria and the global efforts on awareness as regards consumer rights and needs. The Trade Minister, represented by the Ministry's Permanent Secretary, Nura Rimi, said standardization plays a vital role in ensuring that goods and services meet internationally recognized quality benchmarks, and the African market should not be a dumping ground, adding that implementation of standardized procedures can change the narrative, serving as a safety net for consumer rights. She also said through embarrassing standards, consumer will experience enhanced production of high-quality products and services. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says federal government has earned approximately $1.2 billion in telecom license fees from major operators including MTN, Globalcom, Econet, now Airtel, and Etisalat, now Nine Mobile, during the inception of mobile technology in Nigeria. He said the license fees played a vital role in establishing the telecom industry in 2000, a sector crucial to Nigeria's economy. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo disclosed these at the book launch and in ex-inaugural lecture in Lagos, while his administration rejected attempts to sell telecom licenses for a mere $3 million, instead ensuring that they were sold at their true value of $280 million each to MTN, Glo, and Etisalat. He said while the investments have been driving significant progress, creating the right condition remains essential for attracting future investments and sustaining sector growth, adding that there are still opportunities today for Nigeria to attract investment, but the right condition need to be created for that money to come in again. Obasanjo opined that MTN, a South African firm, began operations in Nigeria in August 2001 and quickly became a market leader, while Globalcom entered the market in 2003, introducing a pioneering per-second billing model that compelled MTN and Econet to follow suit. And Econet Wireless Nigeria launched in 2000. Initiated commercial GSM service on August 5th, 2001, in 2007, as well as emerging marketed telecommunications service, trading as a Etisalat during the Nigerian telecom market. World Bank says no fewer than 404 million students globally have been affected by climate-related school closures between January 2022 and June 2024. The report, titled Choosing Our Future, Education for Climate Action, attributes these figures to at least 81 countries temporarily shutting down schools due to floods, storms, and heat waves, as well as climate change, including flood, is causing significant school closures and disruptions remain largely invisible because they are not being tracked by relevant authorities. This comes after last week's floods caused by the overflow of the Alau Dam in Borno State, while Nigeria displaced nearly 2 million people in Maiduguri and surrounding areas. The National Bureau of Statistics recently reported that students in some parts of Nigeria missed 53 school days due to flooding, and report listed severely affected states as Bayelsa, Delta, Anambra, Kogi, Nasarawa, and Jigawa, amongst others, adding that education can propel climate action, but at the same time, climate change is impeding education. The novel analysis for the report shows that over the past 20 years, schools were closed in at least 75% of the climate-related extreme weather events, impacting 5 million people or more, while the frequency and severity of school closures continue to grow due to climate change. And between January 2022 and June 2024, as estimated, 404 million students faced school closures due to extreme weather events. Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, an agency of the federal government, has issued an alert to Nigerians over the release of water from Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. The agency issued the alert in a statement signed by Omar Mohammed, its Director General, said water will begin to ease from the dam at the rate of 100 meters per second from 17 September 2023, adding that the water release is expected to increase gradually to 1,000 meters per second in the next 7 days, depending on the inflow from the upstream Garua River, which is the main feeder into the reservoir and a major contributor to the River Benue. The agency said there is no cause for alarm, stating that the release of the water will not cause major flooding in Nigeria, as the flood levels along the River Benue are still within the warning levels, and called for vigilance and preparedness in states that are contiguous to the River Benue system. The agency will continue to monitor closely the flow situation of the transboundary River Benue and the national inland rivers, and steadily provide regular updates on water levels across major rivers to forestall further flood disasters. While in 2022, more than 600 people died in Nigeria as a result of flood caused by the release of water from Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. Nigerian Geological Survey Agency has allayed fears over earth tremors experienced in the Federal Capital Territory and urged residents not to panic. A statement by the Director General, Professor Olusegun Ige, said the agency monitored the tremors and found them to be low and do not pose any threat to the environment. The DG said preliminary analysis of the waveforms showed that the sources of the ground motions are less than 5 kilometers away from the monitoring station, while the NGSA team also visited the affected areas for the on-stop assessment of events. He said the intensities of the tremor are weak to light ranging from 3 to 4 on the modified Mercalli scale, and pose a very low level threat, adding that the agency is keeping a close monitoring of the situation and it will provide updates. National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers has announced that the planned airport protest scheduled to be held on 18 September 2024 has been suspended. The aviation unions across the country had earlier announced their intention to embark on a peaceful protest on September 18, 2024 to demand an end to the deduction of 50% from the internally generated revenue of various agencies in the country. In an earlier statement signed by the Secretaries General of the unions, the protest, which was supposed to take place across all airports nationwide, was in response to the failure of the federal government to exempt these agencies from the deductions. And in a letter signed by Olayinka Olu Abioye, General Secretary of NAPI, and addressed to members, said, consequent upon information available to the association about the ongoing discussion by the higher authorities over the continued deduction of 50% by the federal government, the planned protest has been suspended. Abioye said the protest is suspended pending the outcome of the discussions, which shall be communicated to every participant. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. And you can connect with us and watch us on ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Central Bank of Nigeria has confirmed that it will sustain its ways and means advances to the federal government at a 5% per limit for the fiscal year 2024-2025. The latest development is contrary to a bill passed by the National Assembly, which raised the maximum borrowing percent in the act from 5% to 10%. This information This information is based on the monetary, credit, foreign trade and exchange policy guidelines for the fiscal years 2024 to 2025, and the guideline aligns with the MTFF, under which the CBN will manage expectations, implement time-consistent policies and address shocks to support the ongoing recovery and ensure the country's microeconomic stability. The CBN also said the advances would now be determined after recognizing the sub-accounts of the various MDAs, which are now linked to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, to arrive at the FGN Consolidated Cash Position, adding that the Ways and Means advances are loan facilities used by the CBN to finance the government during periods of temporary budget shortfalls and are subject to limits imposed by law. According to Section 38 of the CBN Act 2007, the Apex Bank may grant temporary advancement to the federal government with regards to the federal government with regards to temporary deficiency of budget revenue at such rate of as the bank may determine. Central Bank of Nigeria has said that Nigeria's domestic prices are expected to remain high in the 2024-2025 fiscal year. The Apex Bank made this known in its monetary, credit, foreign trade and exchange policy guidelines for fiscal years 2024 to 2025. CBN's revelation comes amid the two consecutive decreases in Nigeria's inflation in July and August, which stood at 33.40% and 30%, while CBN blamed the elevated domestic prices on the back of spillovers from global supply constraints, exchange rate pass-through impact, persistent security and infrastructural challenges. However, the Apex Bank said the country's fiscal outlook remains positive, contingent on the effective Finance Act 2023, foreign exchange reforms and restructuring key revenue-generating MDAs to boost on oil revenue, as well as on the back of spillovers from global supply constraints and exchange rates pass-through. Nigeria's annual inflation rate fell to a 6-month low in August, offering the Central Bank of Nigeria a window to halt an unprecedented tightening cycle when they meet next week. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics said in a statement published on its website that consumer prices rose 32.2% from 33.4% in July. The receding impact on prices of currency devaluation and the temporary removal of fuel subsidy instituted a year ago contributed to the slowdown. Others formed part of the reforms introduced by President Bola Tinubu after he entered office in May 2023 to attract investors, float the currency and ease budget pressures. Higher corn yields and a 6-month window to import the crop and wheat duty-free also contributed to the softening in price increases, while data collection was concluded before mid-August, so the effect of a 45% increase in gasoline prices in early September, which saw a bump in transport costs, was not captured. The slowdown raises the prospect that policymakers may pause a tightening cycle that has lifted the benchmark rate to 26.75% from 11.5% in just over 2 years, and it will also give the Monetary Policy Committee, which will announce its decision on September 24th, and to assess the impact of recent currency volatility, devastating floods in northern Nigeria, and the increase in gasoline price on inflation. Federal government says it will launch a comprehensive strategy on Wednesday to become a leading player in the $7 trillion halal economy. It also expressed plans to grow its gross domestic product to $1.5 billion by 2027 through strategic initiatives, while the Special Assistant to the Vice President on Export Expansion, Ali Sheriff, said ahead of Wednesday's halal stakeholders engagement program, billed to be held at the House Conference Center in Abuja. According to a statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President of Media and Communications, Stanley Wokocha, Sheriff said the initiative would bring together government agencies, private sector leaders and international partners to capitalize on Nigeria's position as the 8th largest domestic halal economy globally, while the federal government has set to exploit a $7 trillion global market. The project is part of the initiative to diversify the economy and tap into the growing global halal market products and services that meet Islamic standards of permissibility and embody ethics, integrity, and universal values that resonate across cultures and regions. Sharif also said a strategic focus on the halal economy will open up new avenues for Nigerian businesses to compete globally. President Bola Tinubu has approved 5 new executive orders aimed at providing fiscal incentives for investments in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. This is coming after the federal government declared the kickoff of the $550 million Ubertal gas project that delivers 350 million standard cubic feet of gas per day when operational. The signing ceremony of the $550 million final investment decision between NNPCL and Total Energies on the Ubertal field development project took place in Abuja, while the Ubertal field, which was discovered in 1964, is located northwest of Port Harcourt in Rivers State. The 5 executive orders issued by Tinubu are also expected to reduce the cost and time of finalizing and implementing contracts to develop and expand gas infrastructure, as well as major energy reforms introduced in Nigeria since June 2023 that are focused on improving energy security, attracting investment, and deepening collaboration with key partners like the United States government. The dialogue was established in June 2023 to create a platform for the U.S. and Nigerian government and private sector to deepen bilateral cooperation to advance the implementation of shared energy and climate action ambitions, while Nigeria seeks to create a robust regulatory framework and attract new investments in the production of gas for power, transportation, and clean cooking. Debt servicing costs incurred by 29 state governments consumed 80.7% of their internally generated revenue during the first 2024, highlighting the significant financial burden on the sub-nationals. The debt situation also forced the governors to borrow a total sum of 446.29 billion naira within the same period, despite a 40% increase in its statutory allocation from the federation account and the performance report prepared quarterly and issued within 4 weeks from the end of each quarter. This heavy burden underscores a critical issue in fiscal management, as a vast majority of the revenue that states could otherwise allocate to essential public services and development projects is being diverted to meet debt obligations, and reveal the severe constraints faced by state governments in managing their debt burdens inherited from previous administrations and addressing the needs of their residents. Nigerians had hoped that with an increased statutory allocation of 40% from the central government, state governors should have more than enough to fulfill their statutory obligations, and also reveals the severe constraint faced by state governments in managing their debt burdens inherited from previous administrations and addressing the needs of their residents. Earlier this year, Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani had complained vehemently about a huge debt burden inherited from previous administrations, lamenting that he had stopped the prompt payment of salaries and more borrowings in the last 9 months of his government. National Pension Commission has concluded plans to integrate over 660 million informal workers into the National Pension Scheme. The Director General of PENCOM, Mrs. Omolola Oloraran, who disclosed this during a one-day capacity building workshop by the Labour Writers Association of Nigeria, themed Challenges of Nigeria's Economic Downturn, Survival Options for Workers, which was held in Lagos, said by expanding pension coverage to underserved sector, the initiative seeks to provide greater financial security and sustainable retirement options for workers in the informal economy to avert the pressing issues as millions risk retirement poverty. She said data from the National Bureau of Statistics revealed that the informal sector represented over 65% of Nigerians' workforce, and only about 12% of the working population has any form of retirement savings, leaving millions vulnerable to old age poverty, adding that the micro-pension plan was especially useful during tough economic times, as it allowed informal sector workers with savings to withdraw up to 40% of their contributions as a contingent portion to address immediate financial needs. PENCOM launched a micro-pension plan in 2019 aimed at informal workers such as artisans, market traders, and small business owners, providing a flexible contribution-based pension scheme, while the International Labour Organization estimated that 93% of unemployment in Nigeria was informal, with 95% of women and 90% of men in the sector. Organized private sector says a consecutive monthly drop in the rate of inflation in Nigeria contradicts the current economic realities across the country. National Bureau of Statistics in its Consumer Price Index report stated that in August 2024, the headline inflation rate further eased to 32.15% relative to the July 2024 headline inflation rate of 33.40%. While looking at the movement, the August 2024 headline inflation rate showed a decrease of 1.25 percentage points when compared to July 2024 headline inflation rate. The MBS said Nigeria's inflation rate dropped in July and witnessed another decline in August this year, a development which the OPS described as odd considering the high cost of commodities nationwide and the hike in petrol prices. The president of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Dele Oye, said the reports by the Bureau claiming a decline in Nigeria's headline inflation rate to 32.15% in August 2024 was highly questionable and does not reflect the economic realities experienced by businesses and consumers across the country in the different sectors. On his part, the national president of the Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, Dr. Femi Eboshola, said the reported decrease in inflation rate was indeed the direct opposite of the realities in the country. Naira has recorded a 6-month low of 1,655 Naira 49 kobo per dollar in the official foreign exchange market, following a strong demand of the greenback by the end users. On February 23, 2024, the Naira and dollar exchange peaked at 1,665 Naira per dollar on dollar shortages, while on the turnover on that day was 1,551 Naira, 151.93 million dollars, and the Naira depreciated by 6.6% on Tuesday, September 17th, as the dollar was quoted at 1,000 Naira 656.49, while marked the first trading day followed by Monday's public holiday. The dollar had been quoted at 1,546.42 Naira, according to data from the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market and provided by FMDQ Securities Exchange Limited, and dollar supplied by the willing buyers and willing sellers printed at $100.39 million on Tuesday at nothing. The intraday high closed at 1,656 Naira 49 kobo, while the intraday low was quoted at 1,565 Naira. The local currency gained 5 Naira as the dollar traded at the rate of 1,660 Naira on Tuesday, as against 1,665 Naira closed at the parallel market, and also called the black market. And the CBN release of the 2024-2025 monetary, credit, foreign trade and exchange policy guidelines, which outline the standards for banks and financial institutions under its supervision. According to the CBN, the restriction imposed on 43 items from accessing funds in the Nigerian foreign exchange market by CBN has been lifted, and importers were eligible to source foreign exchange from the market to pay for the importation of the items. You're watching ATN Business on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Welcome back. This is ATN Business on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Google has won its challenge against a 1.49 billion euros fine from the European Union for blocking rival online search advertisers. The bloc accused Google of abusing its market dominance by restricting third-party rivals from displaying search ads between 2006 and 2016. Europe's second top court ruled the European Commission, which levied the fine, committed errors in its assessment, and Google welcomed the ruling and pleased that the court has recognized errors in the original decision and annulled the fine. It is a rare win for the tech giant, which was hit with fines worth a total of 8.2 billion euros between 2017 and 2019 over antitrust violations, and failed to have one of those fines overturned last week. While it is not just in under Europe where it is under pressure over its highly lucrative and tech business. Earlier this month, UK's Competition and Markets Authority provisionally found it used anti-competitive practices to dominate the market, and the US government is also taking the tech giant to court over the same issue, with prosecutors allowing its parent company, Alphabet, illegally operates a monopoly in the market and has argued its market dominance is due to the effectiveness of its products. Amazon is ordering staff back to the office 5 days a week as it ends its hybrid work policy. The change will come into force from January. Amazon's chief executive Andy Jassy said in a memo to staff. Jassy has long been known as a skeptic of remote work, but Amazon staff were previously allowed to work from home 2 days a week. Amazon's push to get corporate staff back into the office has been a source of tension within the firm, which employs more than 1.5 million people globally in full-time and part-time roles. Staff at its Seattle headquarters staged a protest last year as the company tightened the full remote work allowance that was put in place during the pandemic. Amazon subsequently fired the organizer of the protest, prompting claims of unfair retaliation, a dispute that has been taken up with labor officials. Facebook owner Meta says it is banning several Russian state media networks, alleging they use deceptive tactics to influence operations and evade detection on its platforms. Meta said after careful consideration, they expanded the ongoing enforcement against Russian state media outlets. Russia, Segovia, RT, and other related entities are now banned from apps globally for foreign interference activity. The Russian embassy in Washington and the owner of this Sputnik news agency, Russia Segovia, did not immediately respond to BBC requests for comment. Russian state media outlets have come under increased scrutiny over claims they have tried to influence politics in Western countries. Meta's move marks an escalation in the world's biggest social media firms' stance towards Russian state media companies. While 2 years ago, Meta took more limited measures to restrict the spread of Russia state-controlled media, including stopping the outlets from running adverts on its platform and limiting the reach of their content. TikTok argued in court that the U.S. law, which would see it banned unless it is sold by ByteDance, would have a staggering impact on the free speech of its U.S. users. The law was prompted by concerns that U.S. users' data is vulnerable to exploitation by China's government. TikTok and ByteDance have repeatedly denied links to the Chinese authorities, while the companies sued to block the legislation in early May, calling it unconstitutional and an effective ban on the speech of its 170 million US users. The panel of 3 judges heard its argument at an appeal court in Washington, D.C., and the law imposes extraordinary speech prohibition based on indeterminate future risk. TikTok and ByteDance lawyer Andrew Picos told the court concerns around China, but Srinivasan responded that the firm was subject to Chinese control. U.S. Secret Service says it is aware of a social media post by Elon Musk in which he had said that no one is even trying to assassinate President Joe Biden or Vice President Kamala Harris. Musk has since deleted the post and said it was intended as a joke, while his post on X, formerly Twitter, came just hours after the suspected attempted assassination on Donald Trump at his golf course in Florida. The tech billionaire is a close ally of Trump, who has vowed to enlist Musk to run a government efficiency commission. And if he wins a second term as U.S. president, many X-users will criticize Musk's comments, which were accompanied by a raised eyebrow emoji, with some alleging that the post was a form of incitement against the U.S. president and vice president. In a statement, the White House condemned the post, saying that this rhetoric is irresponsible, adding that the violence should only be condemned and never encouraged or joked about. The statement said, adding that there should be no place for political violence or for any violence ever in our country. This is where we wrap it up on this edition of ATM Business on Atlantic Television Network, right here in the city of Port Harcourt. I am Wendy. We're open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. Stay connected on ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Up next is ATM Politics with Weekend. Thank you for watching and good afternoon.
Some of the best people in our lives are people who are free, people who are free-flowing, people who are open-minded, and people who are open to growth and growing other people around them. And that exemplifies Dr. Chinere Igwe, a lawyer, a media mogul, and the CEO of Morrison Communications Limited. You've been a backbone to some of us who are growing in the media industry. My name is Bill Cosby Jones, the radio chief. I'm wishing you happy birthday. You inspire some of us, and we look up to you, and we say, may God bless you. May today grant you the best things in life. Happy birthday once again.
My name is Kende Obadofi. On behalf of myself, I say happy birthday to you, sir. We thank you for giving us a platform to showcase ourselves. We say thank you for being a good father, a mentor, and a leader. Happy birthday.
This is to wish Right Honorable Chinere Igwe a happy birthday. Of course, Right Honorable Chinere Igwe, the CEO of Morrison Communication, is a quintessential gentleman, and we pray that the good Lord will order his steps going forward. He's been very fatherly to all of us, and on this occasion, we can only wish him the very best in his future endeavors.
Today, I join my other colleagues to wish the chairman and CEO of Morrison's Communications, owners of Which FM 99.5 and Atlantic Television, to wish our chairman and CEO a happy birthday. We say may God continue to bless him, give him ideas to run this establishment, and God will continue to bless his family. Amen.
My name is Ajoronwa Samuel C. Feel free to call me the original Sam. They say if God is human, Chief Dr. Chinere Igwe is my God. Thank you so much for all you have been doing to Morrison Communication. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, and thank you for your mentorship. Happy birthday to you, many more years.
This is Lauren Shachoma from Atlantic Television Network. I am here to wish our boss, our leader, our chairman, Honorable Chinyere Emmanuel Igwe a very happy birthday. Sir, it is with great joy and honor and privilege that I'm wishing you a great birthday celebration. You have been an amazing boss. You have been a leader, and there is no greater time to celebrate than now, than here, than today. And it is, I pray that God will bless you, that lines will fall for you in pleasant places, that your investment into us as human beings to see the best that we are, that we will shine, the opportunities that you have given to us, that to a large extent God will bless you and God will return the blessings to you 1,000-fold. Happy birthday, sir. I wish you all the best.
I am Immaculata Irikana. On behalf of myself and I wish the CEO of Morrison Communication Group a happy birthday, and I pray that the Lord will supply all his needs according to his riches in glory. Happy birthday, sir. We love and celebrate you.
While men are born, kings are made. Today, I want to take advantage of this opportunity to wish our chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Morrison Communications, operators of Wish 99.5 FM and Atlantic Television Network, to wish him a happy birthday. We are happy to celebrate with you.